question is, how do they report this income? So there are two people who are performing services for each other. You have to tell me in which year and how much is the income that both of them would include in their books. So there is this guy called P who's an auto mechanic. On November 25th of the year 2022, he had some major auto repairs in Holland's Mercedes. So he had a client and he performed and he did his services for that particular car. Holland is an attorney, and in exchange for this service, H is going to draft Pedro's will and represent him when he settles on his new house. So they agreed. They said that, see, okay, you've okayed my car, but I am not going to pay you. You need some services for your lawyer. I'm going to give you those services, and you give me those the car that you repaired. That becomes my compensation. Holland will perform all of these services next year. So the question is, we have P, we have H. Okay. So what is the obligation for P? The obligation for P is doing mechanic work or fixing the car, let's just say. Think through, guys, everybody. So what is my obligation? What is P's obligation? Fixing the car, because he's a mechanic. What is P's right? He has right to get money. Now, when he fixed the car, what is the benefit that he's going to get? He's going to get H's legal services. For H, the obligation is performing legal services. And what is his right? Is to get the car fixed. Is this clear, guys? Everybody? Now think and answer me this question nicely. Who is getting receipt of services in the year 2022? Who is getting receipt? To see, we are looking from the income angle, guys, okay? So when somebody has already received the services, he has earned that income. Because he is a cash basis taxpayer. Both of them are cash basis taxpayers. Think about it, guys, okay? Both of them are cash basis taxpayers. Who has got the receipt of services in the year 2022? Can you tell me? Who has got the receipt of services in the year? Who got their own right for the year 2022? Can you tell me? Whose right was fulfilled in the year 2022? Because you book income, you're not an accrual basis taxpayer, right? You're a cash basis taxpayer. H received his service. Do you realize that? H got the car fixed. So H, we are not saying whether he earned the service. H received his services in the year 2022 itself. But P is going to receive his service in the year 2023 because the will is going to be drafted next year. So who received the income? H received the income in year 2022 and P received his income only in the year 2023. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? We are not talking about earning of income. We're talking about receipt of income. I receive income when the service that somebody is supposed to give me, my right, is recovered. So in this example, it is not P. P has earned that income. H hasn't earned that income. But I'm not a accrual basis taxpayer. I'm a cash basis taxpayer. So I'm not going to talk about the earnings process. I'm going to simply go and find out, did I receive my service? So the call of the question is, did I receive my services? If the answer is yes, then book income. We are not talking about my deliverable. I'm talking about my receipt. Is this clear? So the answer is not D. The answer is C. Is it clear, guys? Everybody, is this clear? It's a tricky question and a very, very good question. Is this clear? All of you? How many of you are confused? Manali, is this clear?
Yes.
Everybody, is it clear? Can we move ahead? Okay. Now we are going to go into the nitty-gritties. We also said the income is received constructively. That means I don't get the money in my hand, but eventually I'm going to get it. But today also it is as good as having received that money. So I don't call it receipt. So it's deemed receipt or constructive receipt. So I say that I would have received an income, even though I did not get a physical cash in my hand. I would receive it when I have an unqualified right of immediate possession. I don't have to depend on anybody to use it. You make it available for me. I can use it straight away. It's credited to my account. I don't have it physically, but it is in my bank account. Or this is very important. It has been set apart from him or her or the agent. So it is my money. I want it, and somebody kept it aside for me. Even though I've not received it, that money is set aside for me, or it has been set aside for my agent who's representing me. So I know that it is my income. Okay, this is important, or otherwise made available. You have offered to pay me. Now, whether I've accepted it or not is a different thing. I did my work, you wanted to pay me money, but I did not let you pay me. But the day when you offered that payment, that day itself, I have constructive receipt of the income. The day when you offer the payment, it is supposed to be constructive receipt. Whether I accept payment or not is immaterial. So the moment I have an unqualified right to get the money, even though it is not physically with me, but it is made available to me, or it's set apart from me, or it is credited to my account, so that I can withdraw it at any time. And I'm not subjected to any restriction. So nobody is telling me that, you can't touch that money now. I can withdraw it the way I want. In all of these conditions are satisfied, I say that constructively, that is my money and I need to offer it to taxation. Okay. So, what is the income? For cash basis taxpayer, income is said to be recorded when you receive the money, or you constructively receive the money, or you get something in lieu of money, or you get a cash equivalent. If all the conditions or either of them are satisfied, we say that it is income and you have to book tax on that income. Now, these things I want you to just register. If a company pays me dividend, but I cannot receive that dividend. The company declared dividend on 31st December, but the company paid the money to me on 1st January. Or if the company dispatched check, the check would not have ever received me before 1st of January. So I say, see, even though the declaration happened earlier, but the money was not made available to me in year one itself. I had to wait for next year. So when that happens, I'm going to wait for the next year and book income. I'm not going to book income straight away for me. Now we did this, right? Prepaid rent is gross income when received. So I have a tenant. The tenant paid me for 2 years. I will offer it to taxation in the year of receipt. And this is irrespective of cash method or accrual method. It will be followed in both the cases. Okay, this is important. Sometimes it do give you a question on this. It is called tip income. In the US, if somebody gets tip, there is a compulsion that this guy has to go and report it to the owner within 10th of the next month. So the time when you report it to the owner, that is the time when it is regarded as your income. Not in the year of receipt, but in the year when you report it to your employer. See, an employee who receives more than $20 in tips a month must report the tips to his or her employer by the 10th day of the following month. Please remember the tips are gross income when reported, quote unquote, not when received. Okay, we'll do a question in each of these scenarios to make the concepts clearer. So let's look at first one. Okay, we'll go slow, but please attempt the question, guys. Okay, How much income from these transactions should David report in the current year? David is a cash basis. So when you read a question like this, be very mindful of the keywords, the cash basis. Who wanted to defer income to next year. For some reason, I don't want to pay tax on that income, and I'm making a very genuine effort to just push that income to next year. A client who was in my office offered to pay me 2000 immediately. So David was there. He was reluctant to book any more income. This year, his profit booking has been done. He doesn't want to pay anything extra to the government in taxes. So there was a client who worked for him. He came and said, okay, please take your $2,000. I said, no, 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 you pay me in January. Okay. Is it income for year one or year two? That is a question that you need to ask yourself. Is it an income for year one, guys? Was it offered to him?
No.
Was it made available to him? Yes, Manali?
No.
No, but it was offered to him, right?
Yes, yes, it was
So if
offered
it is
to him in
offered,
December.
that means it is made available. So irrespective of whether I get it or not, or I direct the client to pay me next year, I will still be liable to pay tax on that money because it was offered for taxation in year one. So it was made available to me on year one. Why? Because it becomes constructive receipt. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Furthermore, there was a check from another client which was arrived on December 29th. And I told my guy, please don't go and deposit it before January. Okay. So this amount is again income received. Why? Because I received cash. Now I did not, or I received my payment. I did not go and deposited it. So it was made available to me. So this is again constructive receipt. Receipt of check is a constructive receipt. Okay. So this is income. This is income. David also told his office manager not to send a bill for 3,000 for services performed in the current year until January of the next year. So I did my work. I asked the guy, please don't book it as invoicing this year. Invoice it next year. So how much of these is income? Now see, this has not been invoiced only. And I'm a cash basis taxpayer. So I'm not concerned with whether I earn that income or not. I don't want it to be paid this year. I asked you not to bill, so my right to receive that income does not arise. So this will not be income. So what is the income? $7,000. Is this clear? Everybody. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So the income becomes 7. So I'm going to repeat myself here. I'm going to go back and read that small portion that we did. If you remember, I constructively receive an income if that income is made available to me. So the example that we just did was when somebody paid me a check of 2000, offered me to take it, and I said, no, I will not want it. In that case, it is still income because it was made available to me. Okay. So that's the first question. Now look at the next question. Okay. This is also very interesting. See, how much dividend income does M have in year one? M is a cash basis taxpayer, so quote unquote, we know that the method of taxation is cash basis. He owns interest in several corporations. So there are a lot of companies in which I have the shares. The Matterport Corporation made a practice of sending dividend checks out to all shareholders on the last day of December. So the shareholders would not receive them until January. So even though their dividend was declared on 31st December, I was not given access to that dividend till January because this was company's policy. So that means this amount is not made available to me in the current fiscal year. So this is not income. So how much income was it? $50. I'm not going to regard it as income. There was another company, which is Best Resorts Inc., in which Matthew was an officer. He mailed its dividend checks in the same manner as Matterport, but the check was placed on his office desk on 31st of December. Now, whether you encash a check or not is immaterial. If you receive a check, it will be regarded as income. Matthew owned a controlling interest in Castillo Casino, and he told the bookkeeper to not write his check, which would be for $6,000, even though all other shareholders' checks were written and delivered in December. That means the money was made available to him. He did not choose to take it. So even this, so this is made available. So this is income. So we have 6,000, we have 400. Answer becomes $6,400. Is this clear? What is meant by made available? What is meant by this dividend payments? If it cannot be made available to you till the close of the tax year, then you cannot book it as income in that year, even though if the dividend is declared. Is this clear? Okay, sorry. Now look at the next question, guys, okay? In computing his current year taxable income, what is the gross rent that this guy would be reporting? Again, we know now he's a cash basis taxpayer or she's a cash basis. Peterson is a he. He owns an apartment house. And when he's trying to compute his net rental income, he gets the following data. What's the first data? An analysis of the current year bank deposit slips show rents received in the amount of 15,000. So I've already received this rent and I'm going to record it as income in my books. So I will start with a figure of $15,000. In December of the current year, so this year, the last month, Peterson received a $600 negotiable non-interest bearing promissory note dated December 1 of the current year as rent for the months of December and January. But the fair market value of that negotiable non-interest bearing rate is 550. So when I record it as income, I would, but I would record it at market value. I will not record it at the face value. So it will be recorded at fair market value. Pursuant to instructions from Mr. Peterson, a past due check of 175 was given to the building superintendent on December 29th. He mailed it to the rental office on the 30th and it was received on January 2. This was made available, so the entire amount will be taxed in the first year itself. The lease of the tenant in one of the departments expired on December 31st of the current year, and the tenant left improvements valued at 500, but these improvements were not in lieu of any rent. So I start staying in a house, so I was in Gurgaon for a very brief period, and I had a house which was just adjacent to a complex, and that house was actually being built for NRIs. So there was a guy who wanted to rent his house, and he had really put in a lot of effort buying wood and then paneling all the wood and everything. And then one of the expats came. He took that house on rent, and his first condition was that all these wooden panels had to be whitewashed. He said that, see, I don't want the look of Europe or Germany where I'm coming from. I want to experience real India. So this guy again went and whitewashed everything. Okay, so whenever there's an improvement, let's say I've put up a false ceiling, which I can't take with me when I go away. But the owner did not ask me to do it. I did it on my own whims. This will not be regarded as income. Why? Because I was not required to do it. So what are the only forms of income? It is 15,725. That becomes the answer. Is this clear? Anybody, any questions? Are you clear about when is the dividend income taxed? Are you clear about what is made available, what is not made available? Okay. Clear? Okay. Let's see who answers this question. This is on tip income, right? At what amount and in which year should this tip income be included in Sean Pollock's gross income? S is a head waiter. He received tips totaling 2,000 in December of the year 1. On 5th of January of year 2, S reported this tip income to his employer in the required written statement. When will this be taxed? Now we know it will be taxed full, which is 2,000. But when will this be taxed? Can anybody tell me? When will you tax this? Okay. Please write the question number, no guys. Write 10 and then write the answer. Write 10 and then write the answer. Yes. When was the, so what is the provision telling you? Provision is saying it is booked as income in the year when reported, isn't it? What are the keyword? It is booked as income in the year in which it is reported. So if December you earned the income, by 10th of January you had to report it to the employer, and it should be taxed in the year of reporting. In this year, in which year was the year of reporting to the employer? So it is income in the year of reporting to the employer. So can you tell me in which year the reporting took place? In year 1 or in year 2? It is 10th of the following month. That means 10th of January the reporting happened. So 10th of January he will be recording it as an income. So it is full 2000 in year